We are live.
Yay! Hey. Ah,
It's good to be here. It's good to be here. And I love it, Steve, what we have done because we are going back to the basics, right? Scrum one-on-one. And this is the first episode where we
what?
were talking about,
Wait a minute. This isn't the first. Well, technically it is the first, but it's not the first, is it?
no, no, it's not the first. It is the first time, however, that we put it on YouTube because
Yes.
what happened? We had this amazing idea. And just like any amazing idea, we have hypothesis. We want to start small. And so we started meetup with episode 1, episode 2. And then from episode 3 on, everybody was like, hey, this is very valuable. Can you have a recording? And we started live recording. And then we've figured, hey, we missed episode 1 and 2. So maybe we would re-record.
Yeah.
So
And
here we
also with
are.
life, this isn't the first time we've tried to re-record this either. So, but hey,
No. We're
so
getting we're
we're
getting
getting
there.
there.
I think if there's an organization who breeds continuous inspect and adapt, then probably that's us,
Yeah.
right? Right.
So let's get going because people don't want to just sit here and listen to us saying, hey, how many times we've tried this before.
No,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Right. So if you can share your screen, then I'll do a brief introduction of
Yeah, of course.
who we are.
There we go.
All right. So for anyone listening, my name is Ziryan, and co-owner of Scrum Facilitators UK is Steve. All right. So we're professional Scrum trainers with scrum.org, amongst a lot of other things. But we love what we do. And if you scroll down, so what who are we as Scrum facilitators? And we love to share. We love to share knowledge because, come on, the knowledge that we have, the things that we are using, the products that we have created, we haven't done that on our own. It's because of this beautiful community, and this is our way of giving something back. All right. So if you want to know more about us, contact us or come to one of our trainings or conference or meetups or whatever. We'd love to collaborate all the time. All right.
Yeah.
That was like the 1 minute commercial.
Yeah.
Now, let's get back. It's very funny, Steve, because if we are talking about Scrum,
Yeah.
um, people tend to think about, oh yeah, that's the Scrum guide, and there's a lot of things on it. But I think it's the way we teach it. We love to say it's about empirical process control
Yeah.
theory. So
Definitely. Definitely. And, but empirical process control theory sounds, well, it is a bit of a mouthful, but it actually, what does that mean? What is empiricism? Um, Empiricism is really using previous experience to decide what to do next. So empirical process control is based around three pillars, three things, three aspects. Let me get these in. This would have been so much better if I'd have been a better mural driver. There you go. So we've got these three pillars. So what are those three things that support? Well, I've hidden them all the way over here. Transparency. We all know what's going on. It's visible. It's not being hidden away. It's clear. It's understandable as well. So transparency, the first pillar. The next pillar, adaptation. No, it's not. That's the third pillar. That's just really wrong. Hey, I'm not starting the recording again. Inspection. We're going to check our work. We're going to check our work as we do it. So as we are doing the work, we're going to check and go, hey, what do you think to this? Give me some feedback. And based on that feedback, we're going to choose to adapt. Whether or not we go which way, based on the latest feedback, based on that empiricism, basing on our feedback from our customers, our users. What do you want us to do next? Do you like it? And we'll make that whole process visible, understandable, and adaptable. And that is what Scrum is based upon,
and
this empiricism.
and this is
Period.
this is really funny because when we talk to organization, we talk to teams, and we tell them the importance of the empirical process control. It's like we tell them, okay, so what would happen, for example, to an organization, to a culture where there is transparency and expectation without adaptation, and all of a sudden everyone recognizes like, oh yeah, this is like you get in a situation where you've been like, yeah, I've been there, nothing gonna change ever. So you start complaining and so and the same goes with, okay, what happens if there's no transparency, but you inspect and adapt? What happens if there's transparency, but you don't inspect it and you try to adapt all the time? So then the importance of all these three, that they need to be in place, and that is our jobs to make sure that these three are in place.
Mm,
Very important, right?
yeah, yeah, because if you don't have it, it just doesn't feel right. I mean, if you're not being transparent around the true state, it just feels a bit clunky. You know, people are making decisions
Yeah.
not based on the latest understanding around the true situation.
You might solve a problem, but you don't know if it's the problem.
Yeah, yeah. So Scrum is based on it's based on empirical process control theory, and every aspect that you have within Scrum has some aspect of transparency, inspection, adaptation. Now, there are lots of what are there? There are lots of myths, lots of things people believe around Scrum, and I'm going to give you four numbers now that you need to fall back onto when you're querying, is this part of Scrum? Is this what is Scrum? So these four numbers, 3335, there are three accountabilities within Scrum. They are the Scrum Master, the product owner, and the developers. And if you haven't read the Scrum Guide, which is the definitive guide to what Scrum is, since 2020, was that? Yeah, I think it was when it was last updated. First
2020.
off, why haven't you read it since then? Because it changes. In fact, actually, the Scrum Guide employs empiricism. It's transparent, inspecting, and adapting. It keeps getting updated.
Okay.
So you might notice that the accountabilities used to be called roles.
Yeah.
And one of the issues that we were having was that organizations were saying, we can't employ Scrum. We can't do Scrum because we don't have a role, a job title of product owner. They are the product delivery person. They are the whatever, insert job title here. So the Scrum Guide said, nah, don't worry about that. As long as somebody has the accountabilities of either a Scrum Master, a developer, or a product owner within the team, you can do Scrum. They might have a different job title, but you can do Scrum. And each of those people come with different levels of accountability, but together they are called the Scrum team. And also, you may notice that the development team is no longer referenced. It's just developers. They've removed a perceived hierarchy and maybe the misunderstanding of that the product owner and the Scrum Master are in some way uh, a hierarchy, managerial role kind of thing. I said, no, no, no. You're all on the same level. You're all accountable for delivery as well. The Scrum team is accountable for delivery. So the next number.
Yeah. Before you go to the next number, I want to just practice something because I watch YouTube movies all the time, and then they point like this. If you want to know more about the accountabilities, click here on these videos. I don't know if you can do it, but at least we have done it now.
I think you need to point in the other direction because you're
Oh,
pointing now to, yeah, there you go.
I'm
So
pointing here. Click here
the
somewhere.
videos will be over there, not over there. So how about that? Anyway, so the next aspect, three artifacts. The three artifacts. Artifacts are living, constantly changing things. Okay, so within Scrum, these are the product backlog, the sprint backlog, and the increment itself. And the increment is the product that we create, an increment of value that we hopefully giving to a customer at least once during a sprint. Hey, if you just come into Scrum and you're just hearing, what's a sprint? What's all this? Don't worry, stick with us. We're going to explain it. Okay. So these are living, changing things, artifacts. They're really important. Product backlogs hold risk, hold all the future work, risk around the project, the general direction of where we're going. The sprint backlog is our plan for what we're going to do in the sprint. And the increment of value, the increment, the product is what we're going to give to somebody. Ziryan, you look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, it's very funny because I was yesterday at a client and they had like a book from 2015, 2016, um, where it's said at the end of the sprint, the team delivers an increment. I was like, um, that's at least nobody's withholding you to deliver more often
Yeah.
during a sprint, right? So it's funny how yeah, how some beliefs come into play, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, let's think about Amazon delivering your package. Remember years ago, you'd be happy if you got one within a week.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, I'll be happy if I get one in a couple of days. And now we're unhappy if it's not there tomorrow. So it's, or maybe you're lucky enough to get it today. So the more you deliver, the quicker you deliver, the more you're satisfying your customers' needs. So
Yeah.
more than once.
Now I'm actually bummed because sometimes they deliver twice a day.
That's
Oh,
because you live in the Netherlands. You're lucky.
yeah, that's right.
So the next th three or the final three are three commitments. Now, again, if you haven't read the Scrum Guide since, commitments were brought in and defined in the last version of the Scrum Guide. Okay, so what are they? Commitments help to reinforce empiricism, transparency, inspection, adaptation. They are also a measure of progress. Now, what are the three commitments? Well, you've got the product goal, a future desired state for our product that can span multiple sprints, okay, multiple periods of time. The product goal is the commitment to the product backlog, okay? The next commitment is the sprint goal. This is the direction, this is the focus that the Scrum team will focus on during the sprint. It's this conversation, an outcome that we want to be having with our stakeholders. And the sprint goal is the commitment to the sprint backlog. The items in the sprint backlog should achieve the sprint goal. There might be things in there that are supporting, but it may not add, but the majority of them will. The final commitment, the definition of done, a commitment to quality. And that commitment, the definition of done, is the commitment to the increment. We are going to deliver a valuable, high quality increment at least once, coming back to the Amazon conversation. The bookshops are available. Um, at least once during a sprint. Okay.
And
So
high quality.
of
High,
high quality.
yeah.
Yeah. So 333. And the final bit, Ziryan,
Well,
5 events. And you're going to, maybe you've heard these have got, hang on, events. What are events? They're ceremonies. And you go, no. Well, they were never ever called ceremonies. Events have an aspect of something being transparent, something inspecting, so something being adapting. Empiricism again. Meetings, coming together to talk about progress. So the 5 events within Scrum are the sprint itself. It's a containing event that contains all the other events. The maximum duration is a month in length. You can have shorter sprints. And when I'm coaching teams and working in teams, because this is what we also do, we also talk the talk and walk the walk. We, depending on the risk, depending on how quickly we want our feedback loop, if it's high risk, we want quick feedback loops, we'll just shorten that sprint duration because we're wanting to get a lot of information back quickly. Okay, so the sprint. The next one is sprint planning, an opportunity to decide on where we're going to go with the direction. We've got the daily scrum, an opportunity for the team to come together, for the developers to come together and talk about the direction to the sprint goal, how that's going. We've then got a sprint review, not a sprint demo, not a sprint show and tell. This is a review. We're going to be demonstrating an aspect of the product, but it may not be just a demonstration. Sorry, my brain froze then for some reason. I'm not too sure why. There's a conversation around a demonstration. I think that's the phrase I was trying to get to. So there's a conversation. It involves that conversation within the stakeholders to actually provide information to what's going on in the rest of the business, to the Scrum team. So it's a two-way conversation. The final event, the sprint retrospective, where the team Think about how they are working, what could be improved, processes, tools, and relationships, what works well for them. So, Ziryan,
Yes.
3335. That is the core elements of Scrum.
Yeah. We only need to put it in the right order.
Yeah.
There is this flow going on, right? So there is this flow. So if we go and look into the Scrum framework itself, so we have the four important numbers, but they need to be aligned. So if we look at this poster, then we can see that the most important ones are actually the Scrum values and empiricism. We'll get back to it once we explain the process of a Scrum framework. And explaining the process of Scrum framework, I'm not gonna use any IT.
Yes.
Yeah, because I love to experiment, and Scrum is not only IT.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Can be used in any complex environment where there's more unknowns than knowns.
Exactly. And I'm gonna simplify it for our everyday stuff, right?
Yeah.
So let me share an example on how you can reimagine the Scrum framework and Scrum itself. Um, if you're rebuilding your house, right? Right. So in order to rebuild your house, right, you need to have like a goal. So what do I want to achieve, right? So this is why we are doing it. You don't do it because you have too much time. You don't have it because you have too much money. No, because there's a reason behind it, right? And the choices that you make are all for that reason. It might be that you want to um, chill a lot more in your living area, or you want to have an extra bedroom, or you want to have a nice garden where you can come together as a family, right? With friends.
Hmm.
That in Scrum we call that's your protocol, right? That's your protocol. That's over here, right? But for the product goal, you also need to know, okay, so what are the things that we need to do in order to achieve the product goal, right? That is in Scrum is called the product backlog, right? And if I ask people, how many lists would you need to make sure that you don't forget anything? Well, usually they say, well, only one, because the more lists you have, imagine if I have a list, my wife has a list, everyone has different lists, you lose overview, you lose focus. Getting back to the Scrum values, you lose focus, right?
And whose list is more important? Your wife's, yours, your friends? I mean, there's a whole conversation that you just can get rid of by having one list.
One list. And in Scrum, we call it the product backlog. And that list is ordered because we want to know on how to read it, how to read the list and what makes sense, right?
Hmm.
It can be anything. But as we know, there's only one person who can decide. Just imagine, right? So my wife and I, we both decide. That's not going to work that well because we need to have a conversation more often together because before we make a decision. And the more people are involved in the decision making, the slower the decision making. And well, we are in an agile environment. The slower decision making, the less agile you are. So,
And
and
Zirian, sorry, who has final say over the order? I mean, you and your wife talking about it, and if you've both got a say, who's more right than the other? Don't answer that question.
no, I'm not, well, it's easy to answer. My wife is right. But the thing is, if we are not transparent about that, you need to go to my wife, people will still come to me and ask me, right? So that's why it's so important to have clear accountabilities where it is, right?
Mm.
Okay. So, and then we also have like the people actually doing the work, like moving the furniture, and in Scrum we call them developers, right? And they are the ones who are actually they know what they are doing. They are the specialist in their area. And who are the developers? Actually, everyone who can turn product backlog into an increment, who can really
Mm.
deliver value. That's what we call developers. Developers and makers, in people who do stuff, right? That's very, very, very important. And then we have a Scrum Master. A Scrum Master basically makes sure that there's this environment where value can be delivered, where people can be held accountable for each other, that there's a safe space, that there's accountability, and so on and so on, right? So
Mm.
that's very important. And usually that's my role, right?
And Ziryan, as part of the Scrum Master role, or the accountability, sorry, you are accountable for that delivery as well. You know, it's not a passive relationship. It's not
Oh,
a
yeah.
hey, you folks do it. You are as well, aren't you?
Can you imagine how it would go at home when we don't have a new door, and I tell them, well, yeah, they were the one who needed to order, and uh,
Yeah,
you were the one who needed to say that it needs to be ordered or whatever. No, that's not. We're one team,
yeah.
right? It's our house. We all live together, so we're all equally accountable.
Hmm.
So also there's no hierarchy because my wife doesn't tell the workers how they should do their job, but she does decide, okay, so this is where we want to head. This is where we want to go. And at imagine at the beginning of the week, we all come together, and it's important that my wife tells us, okay, so what is the near-term uh, objective that we want to have? So what is happening around us? Because we're working hard. What is going on in the environment? And then she says, well, um, Zira and his parents are coming next week. Um, so yeah, that's something that we need to make sure that they can stay here. All right. So then together with the developers and as a team, we collaborate on creating a goal. Okay, what would be the goal? Okay, the goal would be that they can sleep well, right? All right. Based on that goal, the the developers, in that case the builders, then say, okay, let's get together as professionals. What do we need to do? And then again, that's a sprint backlog that you have based on the goal, right? Once we are actually doing the work on a daily basis, the developers come together, so the builders come together. How are we doing in relation to the goal? Can we still have like the parents coming over? Yes or no? Can we achieve it? Yes or no?
Hmm.
What do we need to do? Do we have any impediments? So making a plan for the day, maybe get a coffee with it. It's for the developers. It's basically what every builder does, right? They
Yeah,
joke around a little, but actually it's very important because that's where the conversation is going on, right?
yeah.
And at the end of the week, you want to inspect what has been all delivered, right? Based on quality, because you don't want to show, for example, all right, so this is the curtain. We have the curtain, but it's not finished yet. You cannot open it. If you open it, it will break. So we
Don't
will show
open it.
how beautiful, but don't touch it. Don't open it.
Yeah, it's
That
just for show.
is just for show. No, that's something that you cannot do. So they deliver and show the stuff um, based on the quality that we want, right?
Hmm.
So ultimately, also with the stakeholders, with the people involved, they got the feedback and they actually do everything. And it's a workshop. It's fun. You get coffee, you get cake with it, but it's all together because you want to get the feedback firsthand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So based on that, again, it goes back to the product backlog, and my wife then decides, what am I going to do with all the feedback? Some of them really beep. Some of them are awesome. Some of them we might do right away. Some of them might need to rethink a little, right? And at the end, as a team, we get together to really improve ourselves, right? How did the week go? How did we do? How did we collaborate? Did we have all the tooling? Do we have all the collaboration? Was there enough coffee? I don't care. Just as long as you think about how did we do and can we get even better at our work, right? So this is basically the whole framework. And there's one thing I forgot, and that's the product backlog refinement. When my wife has an idea, she thinks it's really easy. She thinks, yeah, um, we need to paint we need to have a lively color on the walls.
Yeah. Make it
All
look
right,
nice.
they look nice. Okay, but you need more information, right? So gathering enough information based on this one sentence so that you can already start and feel comfortable enough to work on it, to get it done, that is called product backlog refinement, right?
Mm.
And that is ongoing. That's an ongoing thing. It's not an event, it's an ongoing thing. So we can do it during the sprint for the current sprint. We can do it, or in this case, in the week for the week, or in this week for the next week, for the
Mhm.
week after that, or whatever. So it's all that's the whole idea of getting more information from this one sentence
Yeah.
someone has.
So it sounds like there's lots of conversations going on.
Oh, yeah. I heard a smart, very smart PhD from the UK once say Scrum is a conversational framework. Yeah. It
Yeah, and
was
I
you,
stole
right,
that
Steve?
I stole that phrase from him, so I'm going to take that credit. So it was Andy Hiles that first coined that. I heard first heard him say that, but yeah, I'm going to steal it. It's a
Yeah.
conversational framework and having the right conversations at the right time about valuable bits of work. And if you don't have those conversations, transparency, inspection, adaptation is going to be impeded, or you increase the risk. You'd increase waste because you're
Yeah,
not working on the right thing.
exactly.
You're heading in the wrong direction. So that's the Scrum framework. It's very easy to learn.
Yeah.
It's difficult to master. It takes some time to practice. And oh, we haven't said it. I'm going to say it.
Say it.
Scrum is not going to solve your problems, folks. Sorry.
Couldn't you say it like in the first before we did the whole commercial
Oh
thingy?
yeah, yeah,
uh,
sorry.
People
There's a
could
bit
zoom
there's a
out.
bit I haven't finished on the thing though.
Uh,
It's just going to reveal your problems.
yeah,
So Scrum is not going to solve them. It's going to reveal them. And the more often you're talking about that, the more highly likely you're going to solve those problems as opposed to ignore them. Because in this room, in this house that Ziryan is building, there's a damp patch. And he knows about it, but he's choosing to ignore it because there's something wrong and there's something more exciting, like they're getting the hi-fi and the TV in place. But
let me,
hey, if
let
he
me
doesn't solve this problem, his building's going to collapse.
let me even tell you, I choose the builders that don't talk about it either. Yeah.
They hide it away. So look, so
Yeah, I
Scrum's not going
choose
to
the
solve your
ones that
problems.
hide it with me.
Yeah, it's just going to put a spotlight on that
Yeah.
issue, and you can choose to ignore it. It's not going to fix it though. So there are some things, some principles, in fact, underpinning that behavior, and these are the Scrum values. And there's a lovely poster here which just really underpins those Scrum values for you. And for me, the values are encourage me as a Scrum Master to have certain conversations. Let's go back to Ziryan's building a new house and it's got an issue in the foundations. Hey, by being courageous and open, I have to have this conversation. Ziryan, the foundations aren't as deep as we should have put them.
Hey, you do your work, I do my work. Oh,
So
that's not respectful, right?
no, it's not. Or maybe Zirian then starts going, yeah, that's a great idea, and then moves off to something else. He's not lacking the focus.
Yeah.
There's no commitment to being a professional builder. There's no commitment to getting to done, to actually doing the right thing. So, and he's not being open. And sorry, Zirian, I feel like I'm just picking on you
Yeah,
now.
no, it's okay. It's written on my back anyway.
So look, the Scrum values encourage behaviors within the team. They encourage behaviors from a scrum master of how the conversations I'm going to have.
Mhm.
They encourage conversations that the team, the scrum team will have, and also the product owner and everybody else involved in scrum. Focus on getting the simplest thing done. Openness, being open about the true state of the place you're in, what's going on, asking for help, offering help, being courageous and talking about difficult work, difficult issues, working on things that I could leave that for Zirian to pick up and I could pick up an easier thing. No, it's your turn. You've got time. You do it. Commitment to being a professional, commitment to showing up, commitment to following the framework, commitment to being the best that you could be, commitment to getting to done. And the final one, respecting the individuals for their knowledge, their experience, their diversity, respecting the framework, respecting the process, not just cutting this corner once because you're trying to rush through because Ziryan's parents are coming through and you slap dashing paint all over the thing, but yeah, we won't gloss the skirting boards. No, we
The,
need
the,
to
the,
do
fu-
it properly.
the funny thing is, Steve, if we know in advance that the room will not be finished, we can take measures, right? I can call
Yeah,
my parents and they can stay the first night at my sister's.
yeah,
We can
yeah,
come up with solutions, right?
definitely. You can work around it because you've got that transparency and you've got that conversation happening. Okay, we're not in the state where we thought we were. Let's have a conversation. If you don't live by those values, you're not going to have that conversation. You're going to shy away from it.
Exactly.
So,
And what I love about the principles and values, next to this beautiful illustration by my former colleague and still a Scrum facilitator though. Um, yeah,
zoom
exactly.
in.
Exactly. Zoom in, very important. Um, but these Scrum values is very, very, very nice because they enable trust within a team.
Yeah.
And each culture, each team might have a different opinion on what courageous means, on what commitment means. So this again enables conversation with each other. And I had a conversation the other time about what commitment might mean, right? So one of the things is if I, for example, we have an important meeting at 9 a.m., right? I need to bring the kids to school. So I might not be in time. And
Hmm.
I join using Microsoft Teams for the first 15 to 20 minutes. In some cultures, that's the ultimate commitment because even though Ziryan is not at the office, he still does everything to participate. In other cultures, it might feel this is lack of commitment because you knew it was going on, you didn't
Yeah.
arrange things on time, everyone was here 9 o'clock sharp, 8:55 even, and you were not here. So the word commitment, the word courage, how it manifests itself is important to know within a team on
Yeah.
what it really means, because then you can hold each other accountable. You can support each other, right?
Mm, definitely. What's acceptable within this team to
Yeah,
drive those conversations?
exactly.
So, as a Scrum practitioner, consider how well and how visible the Scrum values are within your team, within your organization, and what you could do to improve them.
Yeah.
So, Ziryan, 3335.
Yes.
We've done the Scrum framework. We've talked about we've spoken about the values,
Yeah.
kind of. If I can get my words out. Let's talk about things that are not Scrum, and this might just scare a few people.
Ooh, may I first let me first explain Scrum is a framework. A framework means that it doesn't tell you how to do your stuff.
No.
It's not a methodology. It doesn't say if you follow these steps, you have guaranteed results. No, it's a framework. It tells you the what, it doesn't tell you the how, because there's a lot of complex environment that we are in. So you need to inspect and adapt what works for you, right?
Yes.
And there are some bad stuff. Yeah.
So, Sprint Zero, it's not part of Scrum. Ceremonies, not part of Scrum. User stories, not part of Scrum. There's some things in here which are useful complementary practices, such as user stories, such as story points, having conversations around there, such as burn up charts, burn down charts to track progress, but they are complementary. You don't have to use them. They're not part and parcel of the Scrum. They do not form part of that 3335, which we said was the core elements of Scrum. There are some things in here. Oh, sorry, apologies. There are some things in here which are anti-patterns, such as the fact of sprint zero, the fact that getting ready to sprint. Before you start sprinting, before you start doing any work, you're going to get ready to sprint. Well, comes with a cost. Who's paying for that cost? Where is the value from? I'm paying for this. I want to see something. Oh, it could be ages till we get the whole product backlog sorted and ordered and sized, and we all know what we're doing. We've got the infrastructure in place, and it's going to be brilliant and it's going to be shiny. Well, let's just get going. Let's just start. Up until that point, everything we're doing is an assumption. There's an assumption around value. So let's release. Let's get going so we can get that release out, so we can validate our assumptions. Ceremonies, never part of Scrum. Never part of Scrum, but yet many Scrum teams, many organizations call them ceremonies,
It's
and it's
not a
the
cult.
wrong
It's
terminology.
not a cult thing, right? It's inspect and adapt.
Yeah.
And for the events, by the way, it's not necessary that you need to do it only once
No.
in a sprint. If
Yeah.
you can do it more often, why not? If
Yeah.
it's needed, it's needed. Inspect and adapt.
Yeah. You have more daily scrums. Well, I've
Yeah,
definitely done that. Had daily scrums twice in one day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, just
exactly.
when we were getting to the business side. So, oh, we've got some friends.
We're live on YouTube. Say hi, everyone.
Hey, YouTube.
They're saying hey back. So, Jira is a tool. It helps people, but it isn't the only tool that you can use for tracking work. Release sprints, focusing our attention on getting ready to release in a sprint.
Mhm.
Remember, I said, there should be a done increment at least once during. Is it done? Is it releasable? Or is it, yeah, no, we need it to be releasable. And this release sprint was the fact of getting things sorted so we could release if needs be.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
daily stand-up comes from extreme programming. It's not even part of Scrum.
Well, exactly.
And what we want from a daily Scrum is the team coming together, not a reporting thing.
No,
So
exactly.
listen to the languages that you're using within your teams. Maybe you're using things that you think are part and parcel of Scrum, but it's not. If it's not part of that 3-3-3-5, it could be complementary.
Yeah.
At worst, it could be an anti-pattern that you're following. Hey, Ziryan, I'm setting you up.
Yes.
If people really wanted to find more about Scrum, is there something available that they could read?
They could contact us. They could watch the other movies,
Yeah.
or they could listen to the Scrum Guide or read the Scrum Guide. It's only 13 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Scrum Guide is the definitive guide to Scrum. Okay.
Yeah.
Think of it as the guide, not the rule book, but it's this is what Scrum is. And if it's not mentioned in here, it's something else.
Can be
Okay.
still useful, but it's
Yeah. Still useful.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
if you go to scrumguides.org, you can read it on there, and that is the definitive guide. So hopefully we have shown, as the next bit is questions for us. As it's just you and I, Ziryan, there's probably no questions.
Yeah, not now,
No.
or maybe
But
later.
if you feel free to comment on this video. We do reply back to the comments. Feel free to contact us at Scrum Facilitators. Subscribe to all our videos that we're doing as well. Even if you just want to say hello, please contact us.
Or to TikTok,
The
right?
TikTok, on Instagram,
Instagram, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We are here to help. It's one of the passions that we all have at Scrum Facilitators, is to help people and organizations navigate this really complex world that we live in.
And like Steve said, we are trainers, but we are also Scrum Masters and product owners and developers. The problems that you might have, we might have the same problem at our clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We may be able to help, or we may be even just be able to go, yeah, that's
Sympathize.
tough. And just be able to hear that. It's like, oh, it's not just me. Not just me.
Exactly.
So your call to action: subscribe, comment, share. But from me, thank you for spending however long this video is with us.
Yeah, that's a bummer that it's not now live with the audience, right? Because now we lost track. So it might be longer than what you're used to. It might be shorter than you are used to, but it's nonetheless as valuable as you are used to. Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.